So inside this fancy looking carrying case resides possibly the most elusive Android device I have ever tried to come across. Well, you know the ones I mean, the ones that I actually can afford. This is the first iteration of the Samsung Galaxy camera. And lo and behold, here it is. Now, I'm not talking about a bespoke digital camera. I'm actually referring to the first digital camera built on an actual Android platform, meaning this was supposed to be the perfect marriage between function and bespoke design and desirability and so on. Well, that's not really a marriage, that's more of a threesome, but anyway, I digress. Excuse the lewd remarks. But my point still stands. This was supposed to revolutionize the way we look at digital cameras and also the way we function with our phones. So by 2026, the outcome is clear. The question is why this thing failed so miserably, or rather failed to catch any of the milestones it set out to surpass. Now, I don't know if I'm the most qualified to answer these questions, but I shall give it the old college try. So, without any further ado, let's get into the basics. So I shall take things one by one. First of all is this carrying pouch. Now, it's pretty obvious by the materials and the I don't know, the pleasantness, the desirability factor even of this carrying case that Samsung meant business. This is a beautiful leather pouch, albeit possibly synthetic leather, but still in great condition after more than 10 years of existence, shall we say, not necessarily usage. Now, the phone itself, it is a clickety-clack business, meaning it is sort of plasticky, and this rather sticky-looking grip is not doing it any favors. This is a piece of plastic that was added for design and for grip purposes also, but the paint seems to be sticking and disintegrating. Is not a desirable feature of such a premium looking device. But other than that, the thing is exquisitely built and put together. And well, besides minor scuffs and dings, which actually I don't really seem to notice, there aren't all that many defects on this phone, or rather camera. But we'll get to that at a later time. In the meantime, enjoy the sound and sensation festival that I shall put up for you. So without any further ado, let's just turn the thing on and see what actually it is doing. Now I shall place it like this so you can see. The first reaction is the lens extending, And it is a beautiful lens and a beautiful construction. This thing carries on to the actual mechanism, and the feel of the thing is actually top-notch. I don't know how to put it. I would say that this is the first premium, ultra premium luxury Samsung device before the S6 Edge and the glass and metal sandwich revolution of the Edge series and the Note series and so on and so forth. So this is actually a precursor of the of those types of designs. And if you press this button on the side, you get the pop-up flash, which is also a beautiful two-piece construction. You can see two elements that extend all at once. Have a listen again. And yeah, so speaking of buttons, there are a few controls around here. So if you hold it like a camera, you have the power button on top, the zoom, focus, and shoot buttons on top. This is actually a combo. And well, on the bottom you have the fixation point for a tripod, some information, the camera door, which is a bit sticky for some reason, and I shall try to open it somehow. There is also a micro HDMI port door, so that might be the reason why it's difficult to operate. This is the micro USB cover. You charge the phone and you also connect it to your PC, possibly by this port. And also the ever so present in 2012 or so, the headphone jack, which I sorely miss. That's about it. The tour de force of the Galaxy camera first generation, and I shall put the description here. So this is another gripe of mine with this gadget. The name is soulless. It doesn't refer to anything. It's not catchy. It's not memorable in any way, and it's too crowded with symbols, letters, and dashes and so on, and even now I can't really be bothered to remember it. However, before I carry on with analyzing the photo and video capabilities of such gadgets and we draw up our conclusions, let me just place it side by side with a contemporary camera, a point and shoot zoom extraordinaire, the Lumix TZ22 from 2011 or 2012 or so. So these two devices came out in the same general time frame, meaning that they are perfectly matched in terms of in terms of duking it out, let's say a friendly duel. I want to place them head to head, decide which one is the better camera, and answer a rather peculiar question: which one is most suitable for hobby, street, or portrait photography, nature, and the like in 2026. As a first point, kudos to Samsung for building this thing like a brick and actually giving camera makers like the Panasonic Lumix here a run for their money. So actually, in terms of quality, it's really a close call, with a bit of a win to Samsung for the touch screen, which is not so reliable on the TZ22, but a bit of a letdown in terms of general dimensions and pocketability. So I guess the first category is a draw. But let's go on to shooting and see what we can find out. By all means, this is in no way a scientific, 100% scientific test or with comparisons and so on, but you get the idea. From my personal opinion, these two are more or less similar in photo performance, and the results are actually all over the place. In some of the details and the fidelity of the photo, let's say the Lumix TZ22 edges in and also gets a bit of an advantage, but sometimes the post-processing prowess of the Android platform gets a win to the Samsung Galaxy camera. Take this picture, which is not artistic in any way, of these leaves, and also side to side compared with the Lumix TZ22, and in my personal opinion the Samsung Galaxy camera catches more details, but that's possibly due to the larger sensor and the larger aperture. In other instances, however, like in this picture of this rather fetching sports car that I own, wink wink, the Lumix TZ22 is actually the better performer, at least in my opinion. I don't know how to explain it. Is it the contrast, the ability to filter in more light, or possibly the lens being a higher quality Leica branded unit gives the Lumix a bit of an advantage. Also, when we talk about zoom, these are supposed to be similar in zoom, and while when I take this photo of a small attic access door, service door from afar, I believe the Lumix catches more details and also has less blurred imaging due to shakiness and instability compared to the Samsung unit. And briefly, I shall also be touching the the film recording capabilities. I personally believe that this is a clear win for the Lumix. The TZ22 offers better video recording, albeit at the same resolution, but with higher frame rate and improved stability. The Samsung, however, is not quite on par with the Lumix, so yeah. But still, given the fact that 4K resolution is actually the standard, the bare minimum in 2026, I believe the video capabilities of these two retro giants, retro gadgets, are rather irrelevant in today's world. Anyway, conclusions. So in terms of photography capabilities, I think the Lumix gets a win, especially in low light performance. It's not great. The TZ22 has its issues, but I believe the Samsung is atrocious. And it's mostly due to stabilization, I would say, but I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I'm not impressed by the results. Next, next, I would talk about pocketability, which is an important factor. I've established that these gadgets are actually a delight to hold in hand and to operate. They offer great tactility and satisfaction of the contact, the interaction with not only the interface, but the hardware aspect of them all. However, the pocketability of this Samsung Galaxy camera is actually atrocious. In theory, this makes a lot of sense because you have a big screen on the back, and you get to use this whole real estate to edit videos, but the thickness compared to the overall dimensions of the camera just don't work. I know there are Xiaomi phones out there that have managed to fix this sort of issue with not only Xiaomi, but you get the idea, the huge 1-inch sensor phones out there. But this was an early precursor to those design philosophies, and sad to say, It doesn't really work. I don't know how to explain this easier than that. I found myself comparing these two cameras, and when I was handling them side by side, one-handed, one in each hand, I almost dropped the Samsung Galaxy camera. I did not face this problem with the Lumix TZ22. So as you can see, pocketability in a retro gadget is actually a very important factor, and since you will be using this only for hobby purposes, but maybe in, I don't know, nature walks or city photography and so on and so forth, I think the Samsung Galaxy will not get a pass from me, and I will consider the Lumix to be the clear winner of this comparison, of this chapter as well. So then, the final aspect of this comparison, and I think this is the most important thing to consider when trying to purchase such a gadget: the street value in 2026, meaning the second-hand value or what have you. So the Lumix TZ22 units out there, or possibly the TZ20 or so on, they are impeccably preserved, most of them, because users have been gentle with them. They have used them only to a certain extent in holidays, and also they tend to be owned by older people, which tend to take care of things more. Well, not the same can be said about the Samsung Galaxy camera. Most of them have this rather unpleasant disintegration of the grip paint on top here, and well, they were a novelty item. They're pretty rare, they're pretty valuable, and they sell for about $100 to, I don't know, optimistically $300 in given the condition and the packaging and so on. So if you have the full box and the full set and it's almost brand new, it's gonna cost you a lot. On the other hand, the Lumix TZ22 can be had for as low as $50 to $60 for a rough unit, up to $80, $90, even $100 for a pristine unit. And well, it doesn't take a genius, and I don't really have to give you my opinion on this aspect. Given the value, the street value in 2026, I believe the TZ22 is the clear winner in this comparison. Now, that is not to say that you should not consider the Samsung Galaxy camera as a potential hobby and weird geeky gadget, I don't know, purchase in 2026. If you have the money, by all means. Anyway, I have been rambling on for long enough. Suffice it to say that this is not a true comparison. I just wanted to benchmark the Samsung Galaxy camera with a similar gadget from 2011 or 2012, and I have chosen the Lumix TZ22. At the price I got this thing for about $30, it is actually a steal, and I managed to get very lucky, but I shall not be keeping it for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm not a huge Android fan and not a huge smartphone fan, so this thing is not really up my alley. I like the more obscure geeky stuff. Second of all, I can make a profit, a pretty good one, at about 80 to 100 euros, and I shall not be greedy and ask for too much. I think the market for obsolete gadgets is already getting out of control, and I don't want to contribute to that. So I think I shall make a future buyer extremely happy to get such a rare gadget in such a good condition, and this will allow me to buy, hoard, and collect weird and quirky obsolete tech stuff, so you don't have to. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.